Steve Olson.
Here.
Ed Gallagher, I'm here. Brooke Taylor. President Albrecht.
Here. At this time, would everybody please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I must say, it sounds a lot better with a big crowd.
It does. You could have sang it and had a altos.
All right. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There's a time for comments by members of the public during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to address the board on any of the topics included on tonight's agenda may do so by completing a public comments sign-up sheet and handing it up to our deputy clerk.
I'm right here. We have a sign up right there that people have signed up on, so. Ready.
Comments should be focused on the items being considered by the board and should be restricted to no more than 3 minutes in length. Action taken at today's meeting will be final approval unless otherwise noted. I'd also like to thank everyone for being here tonight. There's a lot of people. We've received many emails on a topic that's on tonight's agenda. I ask that we all respect each other and what their positions are. And we also apologize for the cramped conditions, but the location had already been posted and things escalated quickly and we didn't really have time to relocate. So with that, we'll move into the report of the superintendent. 2 informational items last week. At the committee of the whole meeting on August 1st, 2022, Principal Perry shared updates on Lake Superior Elementary School. He went over what was going on there with his relocation over there from the high school and gave us just that brief update. The second item at the committee of the whole meeting on the superintendent's report was Superintendent Starzecki shared an update on Handle with Care. Handle with Care provides the school with a heads up. A child has been identified at the scene of a traumatic event. It could be a domestic violence situation, a shooting in the neighborhood, witnessing a malicious wounding, a drug raid at the home, etc. If a law enforcement officer encounters a child during a call, the child's name and 3 words, Handle with Care, are forwarded to the school district before the school bell rings the next day. That's it. No other details. The school implements individual school trauma sensitive support so that traumatized or affected children are handled with care. There were no action items and no discussion items under the superintendent's report. That will move into board committee reports, starting out with the Personnel and Negotiations Committee. We had 2 action items. The committee recommends approval of the August 2022 new hires, transfers, and separations report.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all is in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second action item, the committee recommends releasing Rachel Swanson, elementary teacher from Lake Superior Elementary, from her 22-23 school year contract per her request effective July 26th of 2022 with the liquidated damages provision enforced.
So, oh, go ahead, Steve.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, then all is in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We had no discussion items and no informational items under the Personnel and Negotiations Committee, so I'd entertain a motion to accept the Personnel and Negotiations Committee's report.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all is in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next we've got the Teaching and Learning Committee. All right, before we get into that, and before I read the following action item under the Teaching and Learning Committee, I want to explain that what we are voting on tonight is only to determine what our review process will be moving forward into our upcoming appeal meeting, the date of which has yet to be determined. I will read the action item, which has 3 options. We will need a motion and a second on one of the options before we can engage in any discussion or public comment. Once the discussion and public comment are complete, we will have a roll call vote. If the vote on the first option fails, we will then need a motion and a second on the next option. And we'll continue down that road. We have received many emails regarding the topic on tonight's agenda tonight. And I'd like to thank everyone on both sides of the issue for those emails. Lastly, as stated earlier, public comment needs to pertain to the topics included on the agenda and should be no more than 3 minutes in length. I'll apologize in advance if I need to stop you at that 3-minute mark. And please remember that public comment is for the board to listen, not for the board to respond. So it's a listening session. It's a chance for us to hear what you have to say. Does anybody have questions on any of that? Good? All right. All right, so the action item on tonight's Teaching and Learning Committee report, and it's a new action item. Board determination of the scope of review to be undertaken in regards to the 8-3 appeal of the administrator's decision received on 8/3/22 regarding the HGD curriculum complaint. As stated in policy 9130, public complaints, matters regarding instructional materials, section H, the board shall review the appeal and advise the complainant in writing of its decision within 20 business days. The board shall determine on a case-by-case basis whether its review will A, include appearances by the petitioner and administration, B, be conducted based on written submissions, or C, only on the record produced by the committee. And then action taken tonight will be final approval.
Move to approve the action item to include letter A, include appearances by the petitioner and administration.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to include appearances by the petitioner and the administration. I think at this time we could take public comment on the subject because then we'll have that information before we have our discussion. Everybody okay with that? Sure. All right.
The people that are talking.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that. Can I read them? All right, so this is everybody that's gonna speak.
Yes.
All right. First on the list, we have Ryan Haroldson. Check them off, sure, I'll forget.
Good to go.
Good to go.
My name is Ryan Haroldson. I serve as principal at Great Lakes Elementary, going into my 12th year in Superior in this district. I'm really proud to be part of this district and the progress we've made. And I hope to serve this district and the students in Superior for many more years. I believe in the district's mission, all means all, every student, every day. Today, this mission requires me to step forward to support our LGBTQ students who are genuinely struggling with their gender identities. The mission also requires me to support my teachers, counselors, and support staff at Great Lakes who are on the front lines working tirelessly to provide safe and inclusive learning environments for all students, including our LGBTQ students, every day. Today, I am asking the school board to deny the parent request to remove the gender identity curriculum from 5th grade. Not teaching this lesson does not mean students are not talking about gender identity. This past year, students in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades were talking about this topic at Great Lakes. This makes it imperative that we have professional educators present age-appropriate information on the topic of gender identity, dispel misconceptions, and promote inclusive environments for all students, including our LGBTQ students. From grades kindergarten through 5th grade, students receive approximately 6,200 hours of instruction or 372,000 minutes of instruction. The whole group lesson on gender identity makes up 30 minutes of the 372,000 minutes of instruction. Having a 30-minute lesson on gender identity in 5th grade is rational and reasonable step to help build awareness of the topic of gender identity and encourage understanding of LGBTQ classmates. I observed this lesson being taught. The lesson focused on teaching students about gender identity, combating traditional male and female stereotypes, and taught students to be open-minded and accepting of others. Both Superintendent Starzecki and our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Crystal Hintzman, are competent in their decision-making and they combine valid educational research with local data to make decisions that align with the district's mission. The decision to keep the gender identity in 5th grade is aligned to our district mission and advances our progress toward that mission. I'm asking the school board to support Superintendent Starzycki's decision to keep the 5th grade gender identity curriculum in place. Our district mission clearly says all students. It does not say some students. It does not say most students. It says all students. Supporting Superintendent Starzycki's decision will ensure our district's action on this issue aligns with the mission of all means all, every student, every day. Thank you for listening.
You have a means of lifting up cards when they're getting knocked out a minute, just so they're aware.
Can I put it this way then?
Yep, so you.
I need it.
You
I
can,
need to see it too.
Good whisper in there.
I have the cards, yeah.
so they kind of know where they're at.
Yes.
All right, next up, we have Rick Flaherty.
I won't go for 3 minutes, I promise. I think Ryan did a great job of explaining and really spelling some things out. I've been in the district. This is my 18th year. I've had the opportunity to serve as principal at the middle school, the high school, and now at the elementary. Students are way more accepting than adults at times. We need to be inclusive of all kids. We need to be supportive of all students. We must keep this lesson in place. We will follow what is dictated to us and what we must do. But I encourage the board to continue with what we have in place and be able to teach this equity and support all students. Thank you.
Heidi Sigfrids.
Hello, my name is Heidi Sigfrids and I am an administrator at Superior High School. Until recently, I was a guidance counselor at SHS. I'm here tonight requesting that you uphold the recommendation by Superintendent Starzycki to continue using the approved human growth and development curriculum, specifically the lesson on gender identity and pronouns. I'm an alumni of this district and I'm beginning my 10th year as an employee. Since I've been in this district, I've seen tremendous growth and change in areas that including race awareness, equity, inclusion, and acceptance. Our district is led by a teaching and learning department that helps our staff engage in professional development and continuous learning in regards to aspects of education. The teaching and learning department works with individuals and teams of teachers to foster growth and change within our curricular areas and instructional practices. We are continually reviewing what we're teaching within our classrooms. Our approved curriculum goes through a vigorous vetting process and is based on the input of local experts as well as state and national standards. The curriculum in question has gone through that process. To remove it would be taking a large step backwards in the work we've done as a district to meet the needs of all of our students. As a guidance counselor, I've had the opportunity to work with a variety of students in all aspects of education, academic, behavioral, and social emotional. I have seen firsthand the negative impacts of students not feeling safe at school, as well as not seeing themselves represented in their school. Often children who are experiencing gender identity issues are more likely to experience mental health episodes, including suicidal thinking or attempts. By having a safe, responsive, and inclusive school, we are helping protect often our most vulnerable students. When students see themselves represented in classrooms, curriculum, and school language, they are more likely to feel safe and therefore be more likely to learn at their full potential. That is why this curriculum is crucial. My counseling colleagues that teach this are professionals that are highly qualified and deliver this with sensitivity and professionalism. Parents currently have the option to opt their child out of this lesson, and that wouldn't change. But to remove it for all students would be a complete disservice to our student population. I urge you to consider the process this curriculum has already gone through, its development with the inputs of local, state, and national standards. The National Sex Education Standard states that by the end of 5th grade, students should be able to distinguish between sex assigned at birth and gender identity and explain how this may or may not differ. This is age appropriate and recommended time to deliver this curriculum. This curriculum fosters understanding and communication for our students and their peers. It is important that all students understand the content as well as having supportive, trained professionals to help guide them through this learning. Our superintendent, as well as our curriculum team, are strong, focused individuals. Thank you.
Next up, we've got Aaron Fezzi.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Aaron Fezzi. I'm the current principal of Superior High School. Previous to that, I've been a middle school principal for a number of years and a teacher in this district prior to that. I'm a parent in this district. I'm a proud member of this community and what it stands for. Removing this lesson would negatively affect all, including students who are directly affected and those who learn in an atmosphere, will end up learning in an atmosphere of fear and tension, afraid to explore their own lives because of the worry about disapproval and rejection. Beginning this conversation in elementary school helps young people develop empathy for a diverse group of people and to learn about the identities that might relate to their families or even themselves. As a middle school administrator, too often I heard the words gay or lesbian or transgender used in a negative way in an attempt to hurt people. It's our duty to teach young people these words are adjectives that should be used with respect to describe people in their community, not words used in a negative way to hurt, insult, and degrade others. An inclusive curriculum supports a student's ability to emphasize, connect, and collaborate with a diverse group of peers and encourages respect for all. Something I think all of us who are in the classroom in the schools over the last few years know is a point of emphasis and something we need to continue to build upon. All students deserve to see themselves in their curriculum, including students who identify as LGBTQ+ or come from families that are headed by a member of that community or taught by a teacher from that identity. We all are connected. We are all impacted by people from the community, and we deserve, and our students deserve to be taught and understand that. LGBTQ students who benefit from, or who experience an inclusive curriculum have better academic and mental health outcomes and are less likely to be truant or miss school. The evidence is clear. The research is clear. We need to do what's best for our students and support our mission of this district. Thank you.
Next, we have Amber Popplewell.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amber Popwell. I'm a parent in this community and also a citizen. The mission is one I believe you're all familiar with, and we're elected to uphold. The School District of Superior will ensure all students have the knowledge and skills for living and learning and working successfully. A little over 6 years ago, on June 13th, 2016, in the wake of one of the deadliest mass shootings in the U.S. History that targeted LGBT plus community and Latin community populations, my child, a student in this community, stood in front of the Superior School District Administration and shared her story on what it's like to be a gender nonconforming child in this district. And here we are again today. So I'm going to share with you what they said. Hi, my name is Kennedy, and I'm a kid that loves hockey. I am 9 years old. I'm going into 4th grade, and I go to Great Lakes. Kids look at me weird because I don't look like a girl. I look like a boy. One kid in 1st grade argued with me if I was a boy or a girl. It's really hard to go to the bathroom because people look through the cracks in the stalls. When I get out, they stare when they are walking to their stall. When I'm waiting in line, they still stare. And when I'm just hanging out, they stare. The adults look at me too. But when I'm out of school, my mom tries to correct people and my grandma too. It's hard. I help myself by being genuine and true to myself. And if I could change something, it would be that people can be who they want to be and they don't have to hide it and they don't have to hide who I am. I let myself be free. The human growth and development education being appealed today by a very small group of folks and individuals does not reflect what the Department of Public Instruction and the American Academy of Pediatrics and so many others suggest is in the best interest of children. Not only does this education support LGBTQ youth, but it also supports what the federal law suggests, which is educating teens and youth on anti-bullying and harassment. Because this is also a protected class, because any gender-based bullying and harassment violates federal law. So this policy is clear. They can opt out.
Next, Kennedy Popplewell.
Hi, my name is Kennedy Popplewell. I'm 15 years old and I attend Superior High School. This is my second time speaking out about LGBTQIA+ youth in front of all of you. 6 years ago, I spoke up about the bullying I was experiencing in school due to the way I expressed myself. Since then, I've been yelled at by guest teachers and almost punished for simply standing up for myself and correcting them. I am a female who's never fit into the box of gender norms. I'm constantly misgendered. If I had $1 for every time I was misgendered, I'd probably be richer than Jeffrey Bezos, excuse me. Although this is funny, it was very hard for me in elementary school. Due to the amazing staff, sorry, I lost my spot, excuse me. Due to the amazing staff at Great Lakes, they've helped educate my peers. Mrs. Gordon, my kindergarten teacher, taught everyone that it was okay to be different and that it was okay for me to have short hair and like trucks. Mrs. Bronson, my counselor, advocated for me since day one. She's helped me conquer bullies and stand up for myself. And Mr. Haroldson always made our school a safe place and provided the right resources for his teacher to make classrooms safe for all kids. Middle school was a lot harder for me. 6th grade, I had a guest teacher in math and she misgendered me. Thankfully, my classmates said something before I did. She refused the fact that I was a female and not a male, then pulled me out of class and started walking me to the office. She stopped in her tracks and apologized and told me to forget about it and act like nothing happened. This has affected me a lot. Every school year, I fear if my new teachers will accept me. I fear coming to the high school. It was if the bullying was going to get worse or better. Miss Matson really helped me to make sure my school year was safe and accepting. She constantly advocated for me when my teachers shut me down. Also, Miss Effinger, Mrs. Kelly, and Mrs. HK created a safe place for me. Miss Kelly has been to many meetings for LGBTQIA students and equality in our school district. These teachers have really inspired me. Our school district is not perfect, but there are people trying to make change and improve our district. Teaching about pronouns and accepting people for who they are should not be taken away whatsoever. Your kids, and my peers deserve to feel accepted. Some students don't have a safe place at home, so why do we take that away at school? Let us learn and graduate in a safe environment, not an environment that doesn't respect who we are and how we identify. Thank you for your time.
Next, we have Jolene Kemp.
Hi, I'm Jolene Kemp. I have been a parent in this district. I've had 3 kids go through and I have a couple grandkids coming up. So why do we educate our children? We want them to grow to be competent, compassionate, and equipped to do well with everyone and with all types of people. For example, the real world contains LGBTQ people. We are everywhere. We are parents, we are grandparents and siblings, just like everyone else. Gender identity is something that must be acknowledged. How can young people understand gender identity if they are not educated? Ignorance breeds fear and hate. I have heard this curriculum referred to as indoctrination. Educating children is not the same as indoctrination. I grew up in a religious cult and then spent 30 years in an evangelical church. Those are the places that indoctrination happens, not public schools. Public schools must be inclusive of all persons and serve to educate and create understanding of all people. If a religious church school is what fits the beliefs of some, perhaps that would be a better option for them. But churches need to stop trying to force their religious agenda into the public schools, as it does not belong there. I urge the school board to uphold Superintendent Starzecki's decision. Thank you.
Next, we have Brian Friesman.
Originally, I was planning to sit on the sidelines tonight. I came here as a moral support for my partner's daughter, who's a student in the district. My nephew is a student in the district, and it's pretty easy for a person like me, a white, male, heterosexual, educated, middle-class person to sit on the sidelines. But sometimes my voice is heard louder than their voice just because of my privilege. So I decided to come here and speak tonight. I also work in behavioral health. I work in an inpatient clinic for youth, many youth that are students in this district that are inpatient care for mental health issues. I see these kids that have tried to commit suicide, that have carved themselves up because they hate themselves so much, that have taken pills and OD'd. Every day I walk into work, I see it. Because they are hated by their family. They are hated by their peers. They're bullied by their peers because they're different. I implore you to continue with this curriculum. And I implore you to continue doing what's right for our kids. History has shown time and time again that we need to step up. We need to give our disadvantaged people a voice and do what's right. Let's continue to have our community, to have our school district, and to have what we do on the right side of history. Thank you so much.
Mary Smith Johnson.
Good evening. I am a parent. My husband and I are parents and graduates of this district. I've been a teacher for 30 years in a very large district across the way. Retired from that. I've been on this school board. And when I heard about this, I knew I had to come. When you're on the school board, you study a case and you analyze what's going on with it. Anyway, I looked at the form that needs to be filled out, and it says appropriateness of materials for the age and maturity level of the students from whom it's being used and the accuracy of the material. So I went hunting off to state of Wisconsin law and practice, and then their guidance from national, from CDC, standards based from kindergarten to 12th grade. This is within the practice across our state and across other states. And what happens is, and you'll do some version of this, it says in the Superior District Policy Manual, the board shall review the case and advise the complaint in writing. If the decision within 20 days, the board shall determine case by case whether it's how to deal with it. The final quote here is, no challenged material may be removed from the curriculum or from a collection of resource materials except by action of the board, and no challenged material may be removed solely because of presence of ideas that are unpopular or offensive to some. Any board action to remove material will be accompanied by a board statement. And sexual orientation in the law, you can look at that. I don't have the time to share that, but sexual orientation is considered in the law. I believe that this is appropriate curriculum and at the right time. Thank you.
All right, next we have Ray Dans.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to be here to speak this evening. I don't have prepared notes, but I'm speaking in my role not only as our school force coordinator and working with students from the time they're pre-K all the way through high school. And believe it or not, I get to know those students pretty well and watch them grow. One thing that I would also like to bring up is this summer I've been meeting around the state with many representatives from different school districts, having been recently selected as Wisconsin Teacher of the Year. And what I want people to know is Superior is looked upon as a leader in equity, and we must maintain that. I'm proud to be from here. I'm proud to work with the staff that I do. I'm so proud of our students. And what I want to remind people is we are here for every one of our students. One thing that I talked about in one presentation that I had to give to a committee was the fact that a former student that I had contacted me, and that student said to me, "You saw me. You saw me when I didn't even know myself. And because of that, I did not commit suicide. I'm a successful member of the community I'm living in, and I'm proud of myself." That's what we have to do for every student in our district. So I implore our district to continue to be seen as a leader in our state. I will be out there advocating for us and for the entire state of Wisconsin, but please, let's uphold this decision and keep advocating for all of our students.
Tiffany Metzen.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to come and speak. I'm actually speaking for my daughter, who is a graduate from SHS. She was 4th in her class and got the scholarship full ride to Madison. So she's actually at work tonight, but attends Madison, and she'll be going back soon. I don't know if you're familiar with sociologists, West and Zimmerman's work, but I'd like to share their theory from their 1987 Doing Gender article with you all, because I think it's important to learn their perspective. West and Zimmerman explained gender through the lenses of performance. Instead of gender being something innate to humans, rather we do or perform our gender on a daily basis based on a set of social rules and conventions. For example, dresses and heels are deemed feminine and a tie and dress pants masculine. Now, if we are constantly performing our gender to the world, gender identity and our pronouns become a core part of our self-concept. 5th grade is a crucial time in our lives. It's where many begin to discover who they are and what story they want to tell. Without proper knowledge of gender identity, expression, and pronouns, we force our children to tell the same stories about themselves to the world that we have told for centuries, when simply human beings are more complex than that. At any age, we should be given the opportunity to comfortably express our authentic selves, gender identity, and pronouns. We force our children to tell the same stories about themselves to the world that we have told for centuries. We should be given the opportunity to comfortably express ourselves. I understand hearing something different, maybe from something that you've always known or thought, can be scary and difficult at times, but this is serious. It's so important, and I really hope you can consider the impact it has on future generations. Thank you for listening and for your time, and please keep this curriculum the way it is. Peyton Matson. Thank you.
Emily Kelly.
Thank you for the opportunity to hear from the community today. As you know, my name is Emily Kelly. I have been a teacher with this district for 10 years now. The same amount of time, I have also been the co-advisor for the Superior High School's GSA, giving our students a space to feel that they can be themselves without fear of others. Today, I speak to you as an educated professional and a district parent, asking you to uphold the current HGD curriculum and ultimately continuing to honor our district's inclusive mission statement of all means all, every student, every day. I was a part of this district when we were asked to reconstruct the mission statement, and I wholeheartedly support the inclusive language that it represents. I'm also a parent to 3 in our district. As a parent, I appreciate the opportunity that we are given to opt out of any lessons we as parents deem we should be teaching our children, not teachers. With that, I feel that this appeal goes against our entire mission statement. We are taking away the education for all students when the option to not have our student learn about a specific topic already exists. If the board chooses to take the pronoun and gender identity lessons out of this curriculum, you are setting a dangerous precedent of not trusting the educated professionals that you have hired to do the job that we are trained and we work tirelessly to do. I'm a pretty empathetic person for those who know me. I teach with the mentality, I'm going to try to keep this together here, of once my student, always my child. Thank you. I've experienced the devastating loss and effects that children not feeling seen, heard, and valued within our district has. Our LGBTQ students are 3 times more likely to attempt suicide than our cisgendered students. And it leads to debilitating health effects, which have horrific outcomes. If we take this out of our curriculum, we are not being proactive, but we are giving in to a system that hurts our children. I beg you, please keep the pronoun and gender identity lessons in our curriculum so that our students see, hear, and feel valued and respected. In Superior, all means all, every student, every day. Please continue honoring all. Thank you.
Kate Haglund Pagel.
Hi there, I'm Tate Hagelin Pagel, assistant principal at the high school, and I've worked here since forever. So yeah, to mirror that, in spirit, all means all, every student, every day. We did a survey with our students last spring, kind of getting the climate of the school. And on that survey, kids had the opportunity to indicate their gender. 6.9% identified as non-binary. In addition, as I kind of combed through the data, there were a lot of students who either identified as male or as female, who somewhere in their comments mentioned being trans. So at the very least, we have something like 7% of our students reporting that they are something other than the gender they were assigned at birth. If our school is going to support all students, we need to support students who are trans. So cutting the discussion from 5th grade curriculum isn't going to stop these kids from being who they are. Send the message to those kids that we don't want them in the school. And it's going to send that message to their friends who know and love that same kid. So as we keep pushing for 100% graduation at the high school, if that's something we actually are supposed to do, we need you to uphold the curriculum as it is in place so we can do our jobs and help the kids. Thanks.
Jesse Olson.
And I'm going to do my best. If I go over, please be a little patient with me. Today, I want to talk to you about science, in particular, the science of brain development. I appreciate your patience. It might go a little over 3 minutes, but I'll do my best. Teachers have made a career of studying the brains of children and adolescents. In order to do what we do, we need to understand the science behind what we do. And one of the arguments that I've heard against our current human growth and development curriculum is that it's not age appropriate. Here's something we've learned as teachers. At a certain age, children's brains make a crucial change. They move from being influenced mainly by the adults in their lives to being influenced mainly by their peers. It's a survival instinct. At some point, all adolescent mammals do this, and they're expected to survive on their own eventually from that point out. They have to develop that independence or they won't be able to compete in the unforgiving real world. For many mammals, it happens around 2 years of age, but fortunately, we keep ours around a little bit longer than that. And a child's brain develops a lot in those 18 years. I've been an educator for 13 years, and I'm still baffled and overjoyed by what those little brains are capable of. I love that I get to learn more about it every day. I think neuroscience is absolutely fascinating. The subject at hand is the age at which children become influenced more by their peers than by adults, which is age 12 to 14, which is why I have no hesitation in saying that middle school teachers have the most difficult job in education. 5th grade students are generally 10 to 11 years old, and in a short time, they'll be moving on to middle school, where their brains tell them to learn from their peers. They learn to seek acceptance. They learn to seek popularity. My point is that by middle school, it is in a way already too late. By and large, the adolescent brain is moving on and simply will not absorb the curriculum as willingly as it would have in 5th grade. But that's not the only reason it's too late. In 2017, a 14-year-old boy walked into a clinic in Cincinnati for help. He was having suicidal thoughts. Assigned female at birth, he stated he had been having these thoughts for over a year, associated with body dysmorphia and gender uncertainty. He expressed dissatisfaction with his appearance, stating, "I'm so ugly, I'm a joke, I look like I'm 10 years old, I look stupid, I hate myself. It's not fair to be me, I'd be better off dead." He was reportedly well up until age 10, when he began to experience depressed mood, body dysmorphia, and gender dysphoria. 10 years old is 4th grade. In Colorado in 2018, Jamel Miles committed suicide the day after coming out to his classmates. His mother said it was due to the bullying he received for being different. Jamel Miles was 9 years old. 3rd graders are 9 years old. Anecdotally, 3rd grade's the earliest I've seen a student assert a gender identity other than what they were assigned at birth, and I have colleagues who have seen it sooner. If we're not affirming gender identity by the time students hit middle school, we are too late. Almost done. This curriculum must be delivered before we lose that crucial period of children's developing brains being influenced by their trusted adults. I'm going to be appropriately blunt with my conclusion that this curriculum saves lives. If any of you eventually vote to alter it, you're complicit. You work against science, against educators, and against children. A tragedy like that of Jamel Miles may not occur in our community, but wherever and whenever one does, you can count yourself among those who actively worked to allow it to happen. If any of you so clearly vote against all means all, then perhaps this isn't the job for you.
Yeah.
Angela Whitling.
Hi, my name's Angela, and I have worked for the Superior School District now for 10 years as a paraprofessional. It has been a great opportunity, and I have enjoyed watching our children in the community grow and learn as my own did. Our educators are hardworking and dedicated to their jobs. Human growth and development class is a choice, and that choice is not yours to make for me or anyone else. I have watched the video under the topic Society and Culture, which is about 2 minutes, and I am certain that your child will come home the same as when they left your home in the morning. There is a choice to opt out of this class or the video if you would like, so I am not understanding the issue. I hope that if you are feeling as a parent that this curriculum is going to change the way which in your child sees themselves, that you are ready to follow them around the rest of their lives so you can protect them from everything you don't believe in. The information in this video is a topic that your child already knows about, talks about, and hopefully respects the choices of others. Children today are open-minded, caring, and understanding of others' feeling and how they would like to be treated. I don't think a 30-minute lesson is going to change who your son or daughter are, but only give them the wisdom to understand the feelings of others and be respectful of their choices. Or maybe it will give them the courage to come to you about how they are feeling and not know how to approach you as their parent who is trying to make choices for everyone and not themselves. We as parents are here to give our children the tools they need for their lives as adults and feel as though they can be who they want to be and feel confident in their decisions. Again, if you are against this curriculum, I urge you to opt your child out and give them the advice you would like to give them in their own home. I stand by my decision. I feel as though everyone has their own choice of being who they want to be, and it is not anybody's right to take that away from them or the opportunity to understand what is around them and more common than you know. I also feel learning about this topic from people that are educated and ready to answer questions is a better opportunity to learn it and not to hear it in some back alley by people who are not understanding of it themselves.
All right, Brett Jones.
What? Hello, thank you for your time. I'm glad to get to speak here. My name is Brett Jones. I've been in the field of higher education for about 20 years. I'd like to offer a counterpoint to what's been presented so far here, and I'll present that. A couple of things I've heard recently, though, are the phrase opt out and all means all. And I'm wondering, if all means all, why are we telling students that they need to be opted out? Why are we telling families that they're not welcome? And why are we making those students feel othered by the school district? Because if all means all, we should be presenting a curriculum that actually means that. I haven't heard that so far. I haven't seen it in the presentation of what is within this curriculum. And what I haven't heard very much yet tonight is things that actually pertain to what we're talking about. I've heard a lot of support for LGBT students, which we should have and we should love and care for and respect. But we need to be talking about the actual curriculum and the topic at hand. I'd like to obviously express my support of the public complaint regarding the recently approved gender identity and expression curriculum that's being considered. As an educator, a parent of school-aged children, a taxpayer, and a community member, I was very dismayed by the recent vote in favor of implementing this curriculum that presents gender theory as an established fact into the Human Growth and Development Unit for fifth graders. Having taught students with gender dysphoria and transgendered students in a setting of mutual respect, love, and genuine friendship, I find the way that this topic is addressed by this unit to be coercive, academically dishonest, insensitive, and bordering on proselytization. First, though, encouraging the use of gender pronouns, this curriculum coerces students to conform to gender theory's notion of the separation of biological sex with one's gender identity. Although some individuals, many that have spoken already, agree with this, many do not. It's certainly not been a scientifically proven fact. It's a theory, philosophy founded on what many believe to be faulty reasoning. This philosophy is presented as an established and objective truth in these materials, which means it's academically dishonest, no matter how much heart is in there. Given the political nature of this theory, presenting it as a truth puts the school district in the position of a political player by coercing students to accept a portion of the political agenda that's attached to this. This also potentially puts teachers in a position where they have to abandon their own knowledge of reality in order to present a theory that has not been proven. It's entirely unfair for the school board to put employees in this position, one that could have negative employment consequences for those intelligent, caring educators, many of whom I've heard from already tonight, who are not willing to abandon their own reason or beliefs in order to implement this curriculum. I'm almost finished, and since we've been given grace before, I'd like to finish. Thank you. Gender theory separates the scientific truth from abstract psychology and metaphysical theory. Although it sets forth gender as a separate from biological sex, this newly created distinction is not universally held. The theory holds that gender is a choice that is severed from biological reality, being based instead upon an internal feeling or hidden truth that only the individual can know. Further, this truth is one that is fluid and changeable. Though this theory is far from convincing, the unit presents it and promotes it as an absolute truth. Therefore, this curriculum is a form of proselytization, a coercing of students into a metaphysical belief, not one based on science or biology, that is not based on these laws, but rather internal feelings or perhaps a spiritual knowledge. Finally, inserting this ideology into the curriculum is an attack on religious students and teachers who sincerely held faith does not allow for this newly invented dichotomy between the biological and actual self. Not only is this theory directly opposed to the faith of many Muslims, Orthodox Jews, and Christians who are now being asked to leave this school so that they don't have to hear this, it's being presented as a settled truth. The school district is actively impeding free practice of a student's religion. By promoting this gender ideology, the school district is encouraging students to abandon their faith in favor of a new secular dogma. This curriculum attacks.
Are we going to let this?
Okay, that's fine. Thank you for hearing my comments.
Yeah, right.
And can I just ask, I feel responsible to everyone. If we're going to stick to 3, we have to stick to 3, and that's what we're going to have to do. I think just because that's the nature of the beast. You have
Usually
to
we
have it
let
at
people complete their like last sentence or statement.
Yep.
That's fair.
But
And you haven't been here that long, so this is normal.
I know,
But
but
to
I'm
keep
just
going,
I'm
it's
just
not
saying
okay.
you weren't here for one that did go over. That's fine.
Yeah.
I've been to many more board meetings.
All right.
Okay.
So
All right. Professionalism.
gonna stop it. 3 minutes is it then. That's what it's gonna be. That's what it's gonna be. And Angela, no,
Okay, I've got it.
Jeanette.
So
Jeanette,
because I can say the last name, Jeanette Gil de la Madrid.
For you.
Superior Board Chairman, Mr. Albrecht, and members. Thank you for this opportunity to speak at this meeting concerning a curriculum item, gender identity. I really don't think it's appropriate topic for 10-year-old students. It found its way into our schools under the guise of prevention of bullying. Rather than submit all our children to this education, why not just teach our children to be kind to one another and to enforce that rule? To me, it's like the nose of the camel under the tent. It will not stop with one item in the curriculum for 30 minutes. Already, there are schools that have a room filled with clothes for kids to change into when they get to school, clothes of the opposite sex that they are. The teachers call the child their preferred name and pronouns. All this without the parent's permission or knowledge. The child can get gender counseling from the school nurse and counselors, again, without parental knowledge. Schools call this affirming gender. Girls, especially in middle school, are prone to peer pressure and dissatisfaction with their own bodies. Do they really need to have a teacher or a counselor plant one more thing in their minds to agonize over? And lastly, studies have shown that people with gender dysphoria, if left alone, will resolve the issue. Thank you.
All right, Christina Kintop.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Christina Kintop. My pronouns are she, her. I want to thank you all for listening to us here tonight. As some of you know, I have served a few years on the Superior School Board. 19 to be in fact, 13 as vice president. I served 11 years on the Human Growth and Development curriculum. I also serve on a state board with the Wisconsin Public Education Network. The reason I bring that all up is I'm actually sitting here very, very proud. I got a lovely message from a friend that said, I hope you know that these people are part of the growth, that they're speaking because of the growth in this district. And she said, that's because of the work you did. And I actually told her, no, it's not. It's because of the work the district did that gave back to the school board and told us what they needed and what they saw in their students and in their curriculum. And this board for many years listened to the experts and the professionals that we have hired and trusted over the years. Crystal, I want to thank you. I've enjoyed serving on this committee with you. Part of it, maybe you don't know, history, transparency has been very big in this district. And because of that transparency, we are not required to do this, but this district for the last, for sure, 10 years, because I've been on this committee, has developed a committee of community members, students, teachers, staff members, pastors, business people, and we come together and we review this curriculum every 5 years. This is not required by DPI. This is part of the transparency that's been very important to this district. I have been a part of that, and every time I've been a part of it, I've walked away feeling so strong and empowered by this community. So I want to thank you, the teachers, staff, students who've gone through this, that gave us, the board members, the strength and the ideas that we know we needed to help you teach and live better. So with that said, I want to also let people know that the board is following the policy to a T. We are on H of that policy, and you want to look it up. They are following it to a T. I want you to know that this board has overwhelmingly supported teachers. I myself have always been very pro-teacher. I would like to, however, ask that in that same vein of transparency, who the members are of this parent group and who brought the appeal forward. I would like to know names. I would like to make sure that these are valid people in this community that have kids here. I would like to know that it's not paid for by an action group. I think in transparency, we should know who this superior parent group is by name. I've heard a lot of beautiful testimony tonight, and I'm not going to go over stats and facts. I can tell you, since serving on this board in the last 5 years, we have had 3 of those suicides that Emily talks about. There's nothing worse as a board member to know that that was something that could have been prevented in our students. So I think the work that you all do every day, the professionals that you are, really make this district better. So thank you for your service.
Bob Morehouse.
Hi, I'm Rob. Nice to be on this side of the podium. All right, a couple of things. This is obviously a tough thing to talk about, and I applaud you. You still know how to pack a room. That's good. I like to see everybody get their voice heard and get their 3 minutes and say what they think. I also appreciate that you picked the first one because I also agree with Chris. You know, when people bring these things forward, it's nice to know who they are. Is it ALEC that's bringing them forward? Is it what organization is paying for this, or are they actually parents? That's something I would like to know. But the main thing I'd like to put forward is that I wholeheartedly support Superintendent Starzecki's decision on this. And I agree all means all, and I think denying this curriculum is a form of cancel culture. We got over 4,000 students in this district. We got to support them all. That's why we declared all means all a couple of years ago. And I can also say, after sitting on this committee a few times, we hire who we believe is the best to do these jobs. Board picks a superintendent who they believe is the best. Superintendent picks principals who are the best, like Ryan Haraldson. And I personally believe I've listened to the people that I respect the most in education speak earlier tonight. They've told us their position as a subject matter expert. And I knew as a board member, I was not the subject matter expert. There's things I could probably talk about, but I was just trying to be as good of a school board member as I could. If I wanted to talk to a subject matter expert, I would ask the people who we pay to do that. I guess that's where I'm saying, wow, let's give them a chance. They've done a pretty good job so far. Why don't we continue that mantra? Let's keep our education system where they want it to be because they know best. Well, I think that about covers everything I've got. Do you want to talk legislative issues? All right.
Looks like Ephraim. Nicor.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. My name is Ephraim Nikwe, and I've been in the community for about 12 years now. When I moved here to Superior, of course, I knew I'm a minority. And you cannot deny the fact that we have differences, we have diversity. And so once I moved into the district, I immediately got to work because I have 2 kids in the school district. I joined the diversity group, and actually the superintendent and I and a few others in this room have been looking at the data on the school district, and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised at some of the things, the work that we need to do in this district. Having talked about that, I'm here to represent the communities, the Commission of Communities of Color, and we want the current curriculum to be maintained. This is because we believe that all our students need to be taught. They need to know who they are. They need to know who their neighbors are. They need to know who their friends are. And that is really important for us. You know, this afternoon, having thought about this for a while, I turned to one of my kids and I said, so what do you think about this topic? And then they looked at me and said, if we remove it, they will be eaten alive. This is one of my kids saying this. If we remove these lessons, they will be eaten alive. And so I'm here as a parent, I'm here as a community member to urge the board to keep this lesson, which is really important. At the college level, I teach at the University of Wisconsin Superior. At the college level, these are some of the topics I teach students because they need to understand that we have a diverse community and we need to be inclusive. So thank you for the time, and I hope we keep this curriculum. Thank you.
Samantha Berman.
Already sweating. Hi, my name is Samantha Berman. I've been a teacher in the school district for 12 years. I moved to the school district when I was 12 years old. When I was 12 years old, I was the only minority student at Cooper Elementary. And so today, I'm asking the school board to deny the parent request to remove gender identity curriculum from the 5th grade. I'll be reading a thank you letter I wrote in 2019 to our district leaders for encouraging our students and staff to attend a civil rights rally in Duluth, despite the intense pushback from parents demanding that we not attend. the same way parents are demanding that we remove inclusive curriculum right now. And I just, before I finish reading this, I have to support my principal, Ryan Harrelson, who would not back down to these very aggressive parents. And when I would go into his office and I would say, they're banging on the door and they're making phone calls, he said, we're going. We are going. And I knew how important this was to our students of color. And it was very important to me. And he did not back down. So thank you. Here's the email. First of all, I would just like to say that today was an epic day for me as a minority teacher in the school district. I have never been more proud to be a part of this district as I was today. Marching down the streets with our students and our fellow staff members. I'm sorry.
You're fine, sir.
I can't read my writing.
Deep breath.
Chanting together as a school community, smiling, laughing, engaging in meaningful conversation about human rights. Inclusion and equity was the clear message. I personally became very emotional several times during the speeches, songs, dances that we were privileged to witness because the message was so powerful and meaningful, and our country was in crisis, as our country was in crisis. I found myself wishing that something like this had existed for me when I was the only minority student many years ago at Cooper Elementary. There were many times I was harassed or racially targeted by other students or staff, but felt it was something I just had to deal with on my own. There were many places in the community and establishments I personally did not feel safe going. I didn't always feel like I had a safe person to talk to in my school. However, attending events like the Civil Rights Rally allowed us to show our students that they were supported by us as staff. So to me, on a personal level, I cannot thank you enough for encouraging our schools and students to take part in such a fantastic event, showing our students that this school district is a safe place for everyone, no matter their race, gender, sex, gender identity, sexual preference. They are not alone. They are never alone. 3 years later, I hope that you can see how this inclusive event has affected me, and now this will affect.
Angela Watt and Abby Mackey.
I signed her up and that wasn't fair.
Oh.
Not really. So I come as, I was just going to come as a parent today because I value the school district. I value what the school board has put in place. And so I was only going to put my parent hat on, but if I have time, I'll put the teacher hat on. I also am honored to be a teacher here. I've been here, I've taught for 22 years. I came from a former district and I'm honored and I choose to stay because of what's happening for our students in a positive way. So, okay. I'm here because I was really confused when I heard some talk about parents coming forward or a group coming forward to stop inclusive language in our curriculum. And it just was disheartening because I thought, why would we stop being inclusive? Why would we choose to have people amongst our community, our churches, our families, and our schools feel as though they don't belong? Especially when our goal is to promote education, acceptance, understanding, kindness, right? I wrote a letter, and it was 5 pages, and I got wordy because anyone who knows me knows I talk too much. But one of the things I said is we don't need to understand everyone and everything. We don't have to agree with everyone. We don't even need to go outside and support, but we do have to be kind and be respectful. And this curriculum is teaching our students, which we do every day, to be kind and respectful. We might not understand it. Our parents might not understand it. But that's not our parents' job to stop us from understanding it. We're growing, we're evolving. I'm not even close and we're already on yellow. Okay, so I'm gonna get to my closing then. You as a school board are faced with many, many opinions, many decisions and topics to make. All I can ask for is that you please keep in mind as you make the decisions that you did choose to run for a school board in a school district where all means all. All doesn't mean only the ones that live on our block or go to our churches. All doesn't mean those that we understand and identify with. All doesn't mean only those that don't argue with us. All means all. Every student needs to be acknowledged, respected, and treated with kindness every day.
Diana Brooks.
I signed up really fast. I signed up, I didn't know I was signing up to talk. I guess I would have to. Those of you who know me, and I'm sure there are some, I've had 4 kids go through this district. But one thing I'm gonna say is regardless of what comes out of my mouth, I'm still the same person I was before I walked up to this podium. Now, I believe that when we say all, and I want that to always be, that at a time that we need to think about evidence and base and everything, I would ask that you just make sure that you take a look at that curriculum and make sure that it is evidence-based, make sure that, because if we could change the world in 30 minutes, wouldn't we all do it right now? We would all stand in line and say, give me that book. I can guarantee you that I instilled in my son, who just left for the Marines and is there right now. If you knew him, nobody gets left behind. And he would be the first one to stand up to those bullies. So it doesn't take a 30-minute curriculum to teach kindness and compassion. And I understand that this is a heated topic. And I am that person who would go to the trenches for those. And it's not about he, she, will, what. We are all human beings in this room. And what I see is that if we can all come together and treat these kids with respect and treat them, it's okay to be different. It's okay for me. I'm not in a cult because I believe in God. That's what I stand by. That's my faith. That's my belief. And I ask that that be respected, not because I am above anybody, not because I'm different, but because that's who I am as a person. And that's what I've instilled in all my children. Some of these teachers are some of the most amazing people that have ever walked through those doors. And I can tell you this district is an amazing district. And I can tell you that regardless if I believe this curriculum or not, I believe in these kids. And I know that it is not going to take a curriculum. It's going to take the society to change, not a curriculum. So I would ask that you just consider looking at it before consider that person who made this, is asking you, hey, please consider what my thoughts are before. And you know what? Let's respect one another and treat one another with that same kindness and ask. When we say all, it means whether I agree with you or not. It doesn't mean I'm less of a human being. And it doesn't mean that I walk out of here, you know what? I respect you all so much. This is a tough job to have, and I'm glad I'm standing on this side of the podium and not that table. Thank you.
Can you see if her daughter wanted to talk? They were listed together. Just make sure she didn't want to talk.
Yeah.
I just don't want her to get skipped.
Abby? Oh, Abby. Okay.
On that list? I think.
Yes.
I think a lot of people came in late too and didn't know.
I'm Abigail Watt. I'm 14 and I'm an incoming student to the Superior High School. And as a student, I feel that seeing representation in all of my classes is positively affecting what I can do as a student. And many of my friends who are gender nonconforming and part of the LGBTQIA+ community, they have had negative impacts based on people not understanding what is going on with them and people not respecting their pronouns. They don't have to necessarily identify with them, but they have to be able to say, hey, you're a person and I respect you for that. And I have had one of my friends have a stapler thrown at their head because someone decided, hey, I don't like that you use they, them pronouns. And they came to class the next day and they were literally shaking. They are afraid to go in the halls and they can't be themselves. And I have had many friends be afraid to come to school on days that they're feeling more masculine or more feminine just because that's not their assigned gender at birth. And a couple of my friends have wanted to be here, and one of them has not necessarily had the courage to come up and speak because they know that that could negatively impact them when they go to school. And they don't want that because they just want to fit in. They just want to be understood and they want to be respected as a human being. And I feel like that is even a minimum ask. Like, we're not asking to be put on a pedestal or anything. We just want to be respected. And I know when I was in 8th grade, there was the student equity team led by Miss Saunders. I signed up for that and I'm like, yes, because students need a voice and LGBTQIA plus people need a voice. And many people here understand that. And I'm so happy to see that. And I'm so happy to see that my teachers and principals and counselors understand that. And that, as a student, makes me feel more prepared and comfortable to go into high school. Because if we do not feel comfortable, that is negatively impacting when we go to school, and that will impact how we learn.
That came in late that would like to sign up yet? Is there anybody out there that wanted to sign up?
I'm gonna set it right here.
Have to walk.
Well, I'll deliver it. You raise your hand, I'll bring it.
Okay. All right.
No.
Did I do Lena Callahan already? Okay, Lena Callahan.
A shorter podium.
Box.
I have trans friends, and you can't pretend that they don't exist just because they made you feel uncomfortable. Thank you.
Good job.
Okay. Jim Payne.
Good evening. My name is Jim Payne. I am a former 5th grader in the Superior School District. Because a lot of teachers taught me a lot of things I wasn't ready to learn, I became the mayor of Superior. I did my homework and I read this 30-plus page document today. I really didn't have time for that. And the reason I came is because it's not very good. It's poorly written in a lot of ways, but there are a couple things that upset me especially. It spends kind of an absurd amount of time talking about the first person pronoun they and really objecting to it. But the very worst sentence in this whole thing that I wanted to read to you, school board members, was this. How is an elementary age student who believes in Santa Claus supposed to analyze whether their feelings and self-awareness conform with what their biological sex when they often don't even process the intellectual skills to discern fantasy from reality? There's a couple things that I objected to with that. One, you ruined Christmas. Two, it actually uses the non-gendered first person they 3 times in one sentence. And fantasy from reality. I have the pleasure and the honor of representing every single 5th grader in this city. I've met almost all of them. I met last year's 5th graders. I met almost all of next year's 5th graders. And if you've ever heard me give a speech wherein I'm going to take questions at the end, I've talked about them all because they are the most active and engaged citizens I have ever met. They are fiercely intelligent. They are brave. They are ready to ask questions and do the work of community building. So what I'm asking of you tonight is don't let them down. Do the work for them that they're asking of you, because I promise you, they won't let you down. And so on their behalf, I'm asking that you reject this petition tonight. Thank you.
Oh,
And she's trying to sign up.
You want to sign up too?
Okay, next we've got Nick Ledeen.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to follow the mayor in a speech. My name is Nicholas Ledeen. I am a city councilor out in the 1st District, but for this conversation, more importantly, I am the father of 4 children in this district, 3 who attend Bryant, 1 who will be attending the Superior Middle School for the first time. To the teachers and educators who spoke tonight, I say thank you. Thank you for taking your time out of your schedule, out of how much time we already ask you to take out of your schedule throughout the course of the day to come here and again fight for students. It gives me faith. It gives me hope in this community and what you do to see you take your time out and do this. So when I sat down and I looked through the district's website in anticipation of speaking here tonight, and we've heard it already a few times, I came across that vision and that mission statement of all means all, every student, every day. I believe you guys on the school board have actually been given a great opportunity to reaffirm the mission and the vision that has just been said right here, to yell it from the rooftops. A rejection of this complaint to remove gender identity and pronoun usage from the HGD curriculum will tell everyone that the mission and the vision of the Superior School District will continue to stand for all. The Superior School District, by rejecting this, will acknowledge that those children dealing with gender identity and this board will say, we hear you. We will not ignore that you exist, and we will not wait until next year to talk about what you are dealing with. We will have an open discussion for all of our students, because all means all. You've been elected to this school board because you've earned the public trust that you will live up to the vision and mission of this district. I ask that you take this opportunity to live up to the vision of the Superior School District, reject the complaint, again, because all means all, every student, every day. Thank you.
Chrissy Plash.
Hi, I'm Christy Plash. I've been a counselor with the district for 23 years. Wow. We wrote a letter to board members as part of the elementary school counseling team. So I'm speaking on behalf of the elementary school counseling team. We are also the professionals that deliver the curriculum. So I think it's important that you hear from us as well, since we're the deliverers of the curriculum. First of all, I just want to say as educators for the school district of Superior, we strive to maintain healthy environments for students to learn and grow. By delivering a high quality, comprehensive human growth and development curriculum, we are establishing welcoming, respectful, and safe environments for all students. When we create a safe and supportive environment for our most vulnerable youth, we improve the school community for everyone. I want to repeat that. When we create a safe and supportive environment for our most vulnerable youth, we improve the school community for everyone. Just a little bit of statistics. According to the American Psychological Association, students experiencing gender-related stressors at school, you've already heard this, but I want to say it again, are more likely to be absent, have lower GPAs, report higher levels of depression, engage in substance abuse, risky behaviors, and be at an elevated risk for both self-harm and suicide. Another thing that the Psychological Association states, which I think really helps us to understand why it's important to be having this curriculum in the elementary schools, is that 80% of transgender adults report knowing that they felt different as early as elementary school.
This is why it is critical for elementary schools to establish a foundation of respect and understanding for all people. Gender identity and expression lessons help young people develop an empathy for a diverse group of people and actually teach them about identities that might relate to their families and even themselves. That's the point of this. I did include this in the email that I sent to all of you. There's some research, a report from Playgrounds and Prejudice about students at 1 in 8 elementary students do not conform to traditional gender roles. 1 in 8. I guess in closing, I'm running out of time, but by following our national and state standards, we're implementing a gender inclusive human growth and development curriculum. We create safe and supportive school climates where young people are not only knowledgeable about their own physical and emotional development, but about their peers as well. We urge you to deny this appeal and accept the recommendation of our curriculum review committee.
All right, next we've got Dan Rose.
Oh, thank you for adjusting the schedule so that we're able to have public comment prior to your guys voting. Awful. Obviously, a group of parents felt this was an important enough issue to file a complaint, concern, and another group of parents felt this was important enough to come and discuss it. So I think at least we could probably all be agreed that this is a controversial subject. For that purpose, we had these committee meetings, right? These committee meetings tended to review the complaint, determine whether or not the curriculum is appropriate. I attended one of those meetings, and it seemed like the complaint was not discussed earlier substantively. And one thing that puzzled me was the person presenting the case in favor of the curriculum was a voting member on the committee. It seemed odd, as if a prosecutor or a defense attorney were also to have a turn with the jury. So for my preference, I would ask that you would consider option A, that you would review the substance of the complaint with representation from both sides. What we heard today, a lot of passionate and thoughtful communication. Just standing here listening, I feel like I have benefited and learned from other people's experiences I don't have. That was something that has helped me to develop my thinking on this. And I would hope that both sides would have the opportunity to present their perspectives and concerns before you guys. That's all I got. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Amy Beagle?
You want to? Then we have one more that wants to sign up. Should I pass it back?
So I know I sent this email out because I had gotten some information that basically said we weren't going to be able to speak tonight. And so if you haven't had an opportunity to read it, I just want to read what I actually sent to you so that you get a very good feeling of the emotion that comes behind every single person who stood up today to talk about this issue. So I'm writing to express my concerns today regarding the gender identity curriculum that is being placed on the agenda for review. I want to make it known that I am very pro-inclusion of this curriculum. I find it very important to educate the existence of all individuals. Not one person is alike, and who are we to tell somebody who they are not? I question, have you ever been in the body that feels wrong? Or have you ever been inside the mind that keeps telling you that something just isn't right about me today? And while you may ask me if I have ever been in those shoes, I can tell you I have not, but I am very close to some who have. And the feelings of not being able to be accepted for who you are is very real in the outside world. The school district says zero tolerance for bullying. The school district themselves removing this curriculum is making themselves the biggest bullies at the highest level. How do you expect to enforce rules that you yourselves don't follow? We allow support groups, name changes, and respect all of those. Just because someone doesn't believe whether it's right or wrong doesn't mean that any student deserves any less. You took this office to represent all students, and I'm sorry that some parents don't believe it, but you do have a job to do. Every parent has a choice to not allow their student to participate in these sessions. Let a parent decide for themselves if they don't want their child to learn. But I will continue to allow my children to learn about this very topic every single day because I want them to make sure that they are a difference in someone's life and nothing less, and to let them help affirm other students in their existence. As cited in the Wisconsin Department of Instruction, the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction does not discriminate on the basis of sex, race, religion, age, national origin, ancestry, creed, pregnancy, marital or parental status, sexual orientation, or physical, mental, emotional, or learning disability. Removing it from the curriculum would directly go against that, as well as it could make the Superior School District a direct reason for some children not learning as they should for fear of acceptance, fear of themselves, and fear of bullying. I sincerely appreciate your time. You owe it to every student for a very fair chance.
Rachel Larson.
So, like many people have mentioned, I wasn't going to speak tonight, but I want to introduce myself. I'm Rachel. I have been an elementary school counselor in our district for 15 years, and I am honored to do so. I teach our students many lessons each week in each classroom on a lot of different topics: social skills, growth mindset, emotion regulation, a lot of different topics that help them grow, not just in their academics, but in their mental health and their emotions. Our counseling team, administrative and curriculum department has been supportive, inclusive, and wonderful in supporting the work that I get to do every day with my students. Delivering this curriculum this year was part of my professional privilege, and honestly, my students were more appalled at me showing them how to use deodorant than anything else I told them.
Well, thank you for that.
I just wanted to speak up on behalf of someone who teaches the curriculum, who sees the students, who sees the reactions. And I please urge you to reject the petition and allow us to keep continuing this lesson for our 5th grade students in the district. Thank you.
I was gonna say, is there another Jim Payne here, or did he just sign up for it?
Oh, he wants to go twice. That's one time.
I thought when you.
Oh, yeah, so mayor.
So.
Signed up. Wait. I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
Danny Bartow.
I didn't come here today intending to speak, but listening and thinking since I've heard the news, I had to make the decision today. My name is Danny Bartow. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I'm a graduate of both Cathedral and Superior Senior High Schools. And I'm not a danger to your children because I am a queer educator. I'm a health and English teacher. I went to school to receive this education. Pardon me, this is a deeply emotional.
Doing a good job.
Yeah. I chose to pursue education because I firmly believe I needed to become who I needed when I was younger. When I was younger, I was terrified and I was angry and I was a deeply hurt individual. The people in this room, some of which were my educators, could attest to that. I came out of Cathedral so hurt, and I think back and I can't help but laugh. My friend and I were walking down the hall of Superior Senior High School and we saw a Gay Straight Alliance poster up and we gawked. And all of a sudden a math teacher came out of the room screaming at us for being Cathedral kids, being judgmental. Unbeknownst to him, we were both unknown lesbians. But I could have been saved years of anger and turmoil and self-hate had I been provided this curriculum. Being raised in a conservative Catholic household did not stop me from being queer. I knew I was different when I was 4, and I didn't come out until I was 24. And it hurt. And I am so sorry to those I hurt while I was hurting. But I need people to realize that this curriculum will save lives. I need people to realize that teachers are professionals and to not let fear mongering and hate dictate this school district. People tried to stop me from teaching, and I'm still here. People really tried to stop me from teaching, and I am still here. And I will not stop. And this curriculum needs to stay as is, if not get more progressive. Thank you.
Haley Ronquist.
My name is Haley Gronquist. I graduated from Superior High School in 2016, and I went on to use that education to get a bachelor's degree at the University of Wisconsin-Superior. I was very involved in my time at SHS, ranging from student council, on the golf team captain, playing basketball, being a DECA, and more. I always grew up thinking I was different because I wanted to wear boy clothes, play with my action figures and Spider-Man instead of playing with Barbies. Thanks to some of the accepting teachers in the Superior School District, I learned that I can be comfortable in my own skin and I don't have to conform to whatever norms society puts on me. I sent an email to all school board members expressing my concerns and bringing up some very important statistics, but I didn't receive replies from everyone. So I just wanted to bring some of those up again because I think they're really important. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people ages 10 to 24, and lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth are at a significantly increased risk. LGBTQ youth are more than 4 times as likely to attempt suicide than their peers. The Trevor Project estimates that more than 1.8 million LGBT youth 13 to 24 seriously consider suicide each year in the US, and at least one attempt happens every 45 seconds. Think about how long we've been in this room. The Trevor Project's 2022 national survey on the LGBTQ youth mental health found that 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year, and more than half was transgender and non-binary youth. Did you know that having at least one accepting adult can reduce the risk of a suicide attempt among LGBT youth by 40%? The Trevor Project's research has found that the LGBT youth who found their school to be affirming reported lower rates of attempted suicide. Why wouldn't we want to keep those numbers that low? Because of someone's religion? Because it might make kids uncomfortable? It's just something that societal norms have taught onto kids, and people can opt out if they don't want to learn it. And if you don't feel that your kids should be learning it, then opt out and teach them something different. Teach them to be kind in a different way. But you're declining so many different kids from the opportunity to learn how to be themselves and how to grow by taking it away from everyone as a whole. You're taking away so many different opportunities for everyone else. It's as simple as it's just a suicide prevention measure. You're helping so many more kids than you're hurting. That's it.
Karen Downs. Kara, sorry.
Karen.
Make it whatever. All right, hi, I'm Kara Downs. I did not sign up to speak. I'm usually the one that's kind of behind everybody going, yeah, that's what I said. But I figured, you know what? I have to tell you about my experiences. I'm an English teacher at the high school. And a lot of you that know me and Miss Kelly, we are constantly helping kids through mental health issues, not just in our classrooms. And I want to take just a moment to tell you about my experience this year. This is just one of probably over 100 and some that I've dealt with this year. And I was going to the bathroom and I came out of the bathroom and one of our hall supervisors approached me and said, there's a student crying behind the door. Is that one of your students? And I'm like, well, yeah, I looked and it wasn't. And I figured, well, okay, I got to see what's going on here. So I sat down on the floor with this student And they proceeded to tell me that they cannot be in the class anymore because of the bullying under the breath, the comments that are being made about their sexuality and who they are, and they don't think they can go on. And I said, have you talked to your parents? And they said, yes, and their parents were very supportive, but that doesn't stop the under the breath. And I proceeded to help the student feel more confident. I took the student down, and that day got the student removed from that class and put in my class that exact same hour, where they found a community that was open, that was caring, because the students know when they step foot in my room, everybody's equal. I don't care who you are. We leave judgments at the door, and they know that. And I also want to take this time to say that since this curriculum has been in place, I have seen just a larger number of students coming through that are caring, that are kind, that are open. They're more open than we are as adults. And to take this away is going to do a lot more harm than just leaving it there. It's easier to remove than to put back. We see this as English teachers. When you remove something, it's going to be almost impossible to put back. It's fine the way it is. Opting out is an option. It's an option with anything we do. And that's fine. But when you remove it, it's going to be impossible to put back. So please don't do this. And please show these kids that you support them, that they don't have to go cry behind doors because of something that's being said under the breath. That's all I have to say. So thank you for your time.
Dominic C.
Hello, and thank you very much. By looking at me, you would think that I wouldn't have any problems in life. You know, I'm a good-looking dude, whatever. It's all good. I'm a trans man. I was assigned female at birth. Lived my life just like Danny until I was 24, being that person that everyone else wanted me to be. I wasn't going to speak today. I'm rather new to the community. I am a father in the district. I'm biracial and I'm also a trans man, so it's hard for me to get up here in front of you guys and not feel like I'm going to get some type of crap for it later. But I feel like I need to speak for these kids because I remember being these kids. I remember being bullied in the locker room, and I remember people not wanting to go to the bathroom with me because I looked different and because I was masculine. And I remember wanting to kill myself and my parents not being educated, and then going into the community, and these people aren't educated, and everybody was telling me that I was crazy and that I needed to be locked up in a mental hospital and that I had gender dysmorphia and that my body wasn't valid and how I felt was absolute garbage. And these kids don't need to feel what I felt. I'm 32 years old now, and I'm still dealing with PTSD from what girls did to me in high school. And I'm over it. I won't go to a class reunion, anything, because just like I'm shaking right here, I would still shake in front of those people because they couldn't accept me for who I am. I'm a very good person in this community. I am not only a director of drag shows in this community, I am a huge transgender advocate. I work with Trans Northland, Trans Plus. We just did Trans Joy Fest. These kids deserve to be seen, and they deserve to be heard, and they deserve to feel like they are just as valid as the next person. I don't care who you are, you want to be heard and you want to be felt and you want to be seen. And taking this curriculum away from these kids is not going to make them feel any of those things. It's going to make them feel how I felt as a scared little child going through high school. They need to know that not only the teachers, but you guys, the community, and everyone else has their back, because it is not easy to be us. Thank you.
Bonnie Jordan.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Jordan, and I am a mom. I have 5 kids in the district. I'm also a substitute teacher in this district. I am one of the people that are on the appeals, so I am very real, and I'm a real parent with children in the district. That being said, I substituted in a classroom in 5th grade last year where there was an opt-out. I didn't know that they were going to the guidance room to learn about this issue, but nobody told me as a sub that there was children in the room that shouldn't be in that classroom. and I brought them into the classroom. So, and they learned the lesson, and I didn't know, and I felt horrible, you know, as a sub not knowing that. And as a parent, I wouldn't want my children to learn that if I had opted out. So I think there are issues with the opt-in or the opt-out process that maybe could be looked at. Also, I think that there's a misconception about what the appeal is about. I don't think it's about hating anybody, because I know I love everybody in this room and I don't even know you. It has nothing to do with excluding people. I think it simply has to do with science and not teaching children that you're not a girl or a boy, because I think that's confusing for a fifth grader. It was confusing to me as a parent hearing that in the classroom. So I didn't understand why they were being taught that you're not a girl or a boy when you're born, and that you should tell people not to call you a girl or a boy. I was in the classroom when it was being taught, and so I'm aware of what was being said. I think it's very important to include everybody, and the appeal has nothing to do with excluding anyone or hating anybody. I think everybody is important, and if you would fairly review the appeal, I think it might show you that it has nothing to do with saying that anybody hates anybody else, because it's just not true. So, thank you.
Adrian.
Sure.
Glendhill? Glendhill.
Adrian Glendhill.
Adrian Gledhill? Get that right?
Hi, my name is Adrian Gledhill, and sorry, I'm going to get emotional because I didn't think I was going to get to speak. Sorry, I just feel like a lot of people like me aren't getting heard. I do believe that it's all children, and I think that means even kids that are in families that have different views than this one. I feel that if we have to teach what people believe, their different beliefs, in order to respect and love them and be kind to them, then we have a lot of teaching to do, because we're all very different. We need to start teaching different religions. We're going to have to start teaching different cultures. We're going to have to teach a whole lot of things if that's what it takes to teach the kids love and respect for each other. My problem with this is I think it's too narrow. I think it needs to be more broad. I think we need to be teaching much more kindness and love and anti-bullying. I come from an LGBTQ family. My mom is gay, or well, was gay and now not. And I have transgender family members whom I love very, very much. And as I was growing up, I was never bullied for being the child of a lesbian. I was bullied for being fat. So I believe that the anti-bullying needs to be very broad. It can't just be one special interest. And there are a lot of views on this. I just want to say too, as a child in this community, we were exposed to everything very young, and the theory was that if we knew about it, that we would be more open, loving, and accepting. And I can tell you that the results were pretty tough. I've lost a lot of family. I've lost a lot of friends who killed themselves. And so to say that opening this up like this is actually going to help a bunch of people, I don't know. It's just so rough. So I believe we should teach kindness. I think we should teach respect. And I mean, that also means respect for people who don't believe the same things. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for letting me speak. My kid pooped his pants. I drove all the way home. I thought I wasn't going to make it back. So thank you all for speaking and continuing to speak so I could make it here too. And thank you so much for your time.
I think I'm going to speak with a baby in my hands.
I have to call her. She's already.
I'm going to echo what Adrian and Bonnie just spoke about, and I am going to also say that I am one of the parents listed on the original complaint. I think a lot of people here want to think that these are bullies who are concerned, and these are parents that are people that are not in our community, and the reality is these are every single person listed on the appeal and the complaint is a parent with students in our school district. And they may not all be represented here tonight, and they may not have all spoken here tonight, but they are real parents in our community. I truly value and respect every single experience that was shared tonight. In our family, my daughter was in a class with a student who
near the end of the year requested to be called a different pronoun and a different name. And in our family, we respect that. That is not what this appeal is about. That is not what the complaint was about. And I believe that a lot of people here have misinformation about what is in the appeal and in the complaint. And I would urge anybody who isn't aware to read it thoroughly and to understand transparency is a big issue. I want to clarify that there are no proposed changes at the middle or high school level, none. This is truly about age appropriateness and the specific curriculum. In addition to not reading the appeal or the complaint, I think a lot of people here tonight are not aware of the specific curriculum and what's in it. And so I would encourage anybody that isn't in the know about that to watch that curriculum and to read the complaint thoroughly. There's a lot of misinformation circulating. And the truth is that we are not for bullying. We are not for excluding anyone. Like Bonnie said, we truly care about teaching our kids to love and respect all in the school environment. This is truly an issue of age appropriateness and the district's policy of controversial material in the classroom and whether it meets the threshold for use. Thanks.
Okay, that concludes all of the public comment. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Okay, now get back to our action item. And again, the action item is just to review the appeal and advise the complainant in writing as decision within 20 business days. The board shall determine on a case-by-case basis whether its review will, not again, this is just to decide how we're going to review the appeal. And right now we have item A, include appearances by the petitioner and the administration. Was a motion and seconded. So that's what we're doing right now. Is there any discussion by the board on item A, include appearances by the petitioner and administration as our review method?
I think it's very important that for me, for part A to, and I think you spoke very well and you took some of the words out of my mouth. I sat on the review committee. I don't want this to become a toxic environment or episode in our community. We all have passions. For everybody that spoke on behalf of the current curriculum, for those that have the petition of questioning the curriculum. I think as adults that we have the capabilities, we have the experience, we have the knowledge to sit down and to work through this. I've read through the petition 3 times now, and each time I learn a little bit more. So I think it's in our best interest of our current school board to offer the opportunity to look at this further. We have to honor the appeal, but I think we also should honor the fact that the petitioner should be present. My only question would be, is how is that going to be handled? Is that an open meeting? And is the petitioner one person? Or petitioner more than one?
My understanding is it will be another meeting that's to be set up. It's going to be an open meeting.
Oh, the big one.
And the way this reads, petitioner, I don't know if they could have one person be their representative to do their speaking. We'd have somebody from the district would then have someone to speak. And there could then again be public comment, I would assume, since it's an open, open agenda meeting.
Are documents included? Any documents that were shared in the?
When you say that could probably be like a PowerPoint.
Like, will we get the appeal and or the committee's decision to review as well?
Yes, I would.
I think all those documents should.
Documents, then all the documents would be submitted prior to the meeting for us to review.
And then is there a time limit for each person to speak in that?
On the petition?
You could formulate it the same way the committee did their meeting, where it was 15 minutes for one side and 15 minutes for another side. That's how the committee.
Who decides that? Just all of us?
We do.
And are we deciding on the time limit right now or? Okay. If this does pass.
But, you know, I think for the sake of stuff, you know, this is coming fast. We're hurt for us to decide a time limit at the next meeting. So that we have time to think about.
Is the next meeting the one to decide this though? Or not? Yeah. So we'd have to make the decision before that so that they can prepare on both sides.
I mean, this appeal, I don't know, I mean, 30 minutes, if you give each side 30 minutes,
I'd say that.
that's a lot of time.
I'd agree.
If it all or not, that's up to them.
Yep.
I'm in agreement with that.
30 minutes this one.
30 minutes.
And then any potential public comment then would be, again, the 3 minutes. And I'll say that's going to be a hard 3 minutes.
There's other options though, right? We're just discussing A right now.
We're discussing A right now.
A roll call vote, so.
Sorry.
Is there any other discussion?
I'm sorry, one other thing. There cannot be a combination of A, B, or C, correct? All right.
A, B, or
C. Okay.
Any other discussion? So right now we're voting on A with a 30-minute time limit per presenter. All right, if there's no other discussion, I'll call for the vote. That's the clerk, you're gonna call, or I'll do it. All right. Back.
Aye.
Gallagher.
Aye.
Aye.
Laura
Nay.
and Brooke.
Aye.
And I'd vote aye. So it passes at 5-1. Date to be determined yet is, I'll ask board members know, I know that the document, I forget what you call that document you sent out to pick dates.
Yeah.
And you sent that email out with dates to pick for us. Okay. If you haven't gone through that and filled in your dates, do that.
May need to send more dates.
More dates.
On accommodation.
Are you kidding?
No.
Is there an option to ask for an extension on the 20 days? Just to accommodate everybody's needs.
That'd be
Okay, the 20-day, that 20-day timeline starts after the appeal meeting.
After the meeting, okay.
That wouldn't,
It made it seem like it started on.
no, it-
Okay.
the 20 days starts after we have the appeal meeting. So it-
We'll review the appeal and advise the complainant in writing.
everybody understand that? Okay. With that, that motion carries with item A.
Glenn, am I allowed to just encourage the public to continue to hopefully be respectful and kind again to one another, because that's what I think everybody truly wants. And so lies, slander, rumors, I would just encourage people to reach out and clarify things if it's unclear. Again, kindness and respect for all on sides of this issue. I truly believe.
And again, once we get that final date for our next, the appeal meeting, that will be put out on a public notice so that everybody will know when that meeting is. And if need be, we'll potentially be moving that to a different location that maybe. Okay. All right.
Place with air conditioning.
Short sleeve shirt, man. Like Steve, sandals and shorts. All right, so that action item, the motion carries. Moving on, that you all would like to sit and listen to the rest of our meeting.
Yeah. You can go.
Never have, don't get big crowds. All right, under the Teaching and Learning Committee, there were no discussion items. There were 2 informational items. Crystal Hintzman, our Director of Curriculum Instruction, shared an update on the summer professional development. And Erica Hutton, our Interim Director of Student Services, shared a report on seclusion restraint data for the year.
Maybe we should. Hi, what is that? What we do? What we do? Why don't I, do you want to?
I will write that question down.
What's that?
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Drinking my water slowly.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you for speaking.
I gotta bring Lori. I wanna see the
I think so. Anything PowerPoint, just notes.
And I will get that information. I'm not quite, I'm not sure. Budget started. But I, can you just write your phone? Keep going. Your mom.
No, she didn't tell me.
I just had to tell you really quick.
Want to give me a ride to the Pagan app?
We're three. My little boy's 3, and he's Thomas. I was digging my bag, so I have that same exact train in my bag. So I was like,
I keep track.
a little restless. I'm going to share my train. It's in the car, but then when he pulled it.
No, it's all.
You could just request a copy of this list.
Right here, look.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you very much for sharing.
Laura.
Thank you.
Laura. Laura.
I signed that sheet and I'm like,
No.
Where are you leaving?
I thought I was signing in.
To sign in.
But I'm like,
I've been in the woods for 4 days and haven't showered, so I'm getting here and I'm going home and showering. We'll catch each other another time, but not right now.
I don't know.
All right. Okay, we're going to continue this meeting. And get down a little bit. All right. So entertain a motion to accept the Teaching and Learning Committee's report as presented.
So, second.
Motion and a second. Is there discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The Budget and Insurance Committee has one action item. Gifts, grants, and bequests. The committee recommends approval to accept the gifts, grants, and bequests received in July of 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Thank you. No other discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. There are no discussion items and no informational items. So I'd entertain a motion to accept the budget and, wait a minute, are we going to get an update?
I know that's what I was just asking her.
Down here.
Down in here.
Shannon's in here.
Hang it.
It's,
I know, I don't see it on. Okay.
we didn't get it at, sorry, wasn't it?
That's all right.
We were,
We talked about it last week.
okay.
No update yet.
Slackers. Just kidding.
Back to a motion to accept the Budget and Insurance Committee's report as presented.
Move to approve.
Second.
And a second discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Last, we got the Legislative Committee. No action items, no discussion items, 2 informational items, the WASB resolutions. The WASB resolutions book is now updated and posted online. Resolutions adopted by the annual WASB delegate assemblies set the policy direction for the WASB and its lobbying efforts. Board resolutions for consideration for the 2023 delegate assembly must be submitted to the WASB by September 15th.
Len, I'd like to add that Ed and I did meet after the last meeting. We just kind of decided with the tight timeline that we're going to take a more thorough approach and submit a resolution for next year instead of this year.
Good. All right, next, the DPI released the July 1 preliminary general aid estimates. As required by state law, DPI released estimates of the general school aid amounts each public school district will receive for the 22-23 school year. These amounts are unofficial estimates intended to assist school district to develop their school year budgets. Attached is the district breakdown per school. Superior School District is projected to see a 5.28% increase from last year, amounting to $33,705,939 in aid. The complete list can be seen on the
It's like that, Shannon, if she's willing, pretty close to what you're thinking since you're the expert here.
I had that number already because it came out July 1st. So that was already in the preliminary budget that we presented back.
But being that that's an unofficial estimate, do you think that's close?
Yeah, ours went up a little bit last year from July 1 to October 15th, but I don't think it'll go up much. This number.
usually goes up a little bit
A
versus
little bit, yeah.
it's going down.
Yep.
Any other discussion on that? All right, motion to accept the legislative committee's report is presented.
Motion to approve.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other reports by members of the board tonight?
Two. One, Ella, fantastic job with the golf outing on Friday. Good crew of work too out there. So everybody had a great time. Very, very good. Second, just thank you from the class of 1972 for allowing us to tour the high school. I know that I got to lead that, and the 40 some plus people that were there were very impressed with the facility, and well, thanks.
All right, any other reports by members of the board? Okay. District and program highlights.
I'm good.
Consideration of bills and pre-approved bills.
Move to approve. Second.
Second, any discussion?
Pay the bills.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any comments by members of the remaining public?
Any more comment cards?
No. All right. Well, with that then, meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
I know, excited. Like when you do it, you got dropped off.
Hard to be this far away for one. Better glasses.
I can barely see it.
Like, I need to shut the meeting off. I forget to swear.